Hi, everybody. I'm Dee Davey. Patrice has asked me to fill in for her today, so I will be moderating the news at noon. We have a slight change to our agenda. We're waiting for our first speaker, Kristine Christlieb, she's just joined. Kristine, you are spot on time. You are our first speaker. Kristine Christlieb is our manager of communications, but I always think of her as carrying a broader leadership role because she does so much behind the scenes in addition to managing our communications team. So Kristine, would you please give us your update?
Okay. My pleasure, Dee. Thank you for being a little bit late in joining. So as we continue to celebrate MFEI's third anniversary, I'd like to remind everyone that unbiased news coverage has been an important component of MFEI's work from the very beginning. Our founder and chair, Patrice Johnson, she comes from a newspaper family and is herself a reporter. So I'd like to give you a concrete example of why MFEI's news reporting is so important. So last Friday, the director of Michigan's Bureau of Elections, Jonathan Brader, testified for 4 hours in a probable cause hearing involving Township Clerk Stephanie Scott. Craig Mauger and Beth LeBlanc covered the story for the Detroit News. They wrote 614 words on the topic, and according to XAI platform Grok, after 4 hours of testimony from Brader, only 156 words, or 25% of Mauger's reporting, was devoted to Brader's testimony. I urge you to compare the Detroit News reporting to MFEI News and Commentary's reporting on that hearing. You're going to find a major difference in focus. And that's one of the reasons why MFEI is so important, is because we provide that different perspective. So the other thing I want to do is also just highlight what's coming up next week in MFEI news and reporting, news and commentary. We're going to kick off the week with an analysis from our very own Jeff Shaper. He's done an analysis of the New York City mayoral Democrat primary, from how ranked choice voting impacted that primary. That's going to be our Monday article. And on 3 for 3, now you all may not be familiar. It's kind of a new feature that we have on news and commentary. It's called 3 for 3. It's 3 short stories that you can read in 3 minutes. And 2 of those stories, one of them is about what Tudor Dixon had to say about Jocelyn Benson's run for governor. It's very interesting. If you haven't seen what Tudor Dixon had to say about Jocelyn Benson, you're going to want to read 3 for 3 on Wednesday. We're also going to be talking about that finally there's going to be a trial in that poll worker parity case in Flint, Michigan. The Michigan Supreme Court has given standing to the RNC to go forward with their lawsuit, and that trial, I'm not sure when it will begin, but it's great news. We were given, the RNC was given standing, which, as you all know, is very important. So that's kind of my update for now. And I'm going to yield my time to my esteemed colleague, Patrick Colbeck.
Oh, Kristine, I'm going to interrupt here. We've had to change our schedule just a little bit. So I would ask Seth Keshel to prepare to unmute. Our second guest today is Seth Keshel, an election integrity advocate working behind the scenes for years. Seth is a former Army captain of military intelligence and an Afghanistan veteran. Pure Integrity Michigan has just today brought Seth on to support our team in the Underserved Voter Outreach Team. So Seth, if you could unmute, I would like you to just tell us a little bit about the program that you're going to be leading.
Well, thank you very much, Dee. Hello, everybody. I've been on a couple of these calls here in recent weeks, and today is my start date as a special advisor for Pure Integrity Michigan elections. And I appreciate everybody's hard work. Your reputation goes before you. You guys have done an outstanding service to our country in what I would call one of the most important battleground states in America, and really ground zero for election integrity issues as they stand today. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things with the team. I'm going to be writing content for one. You got a lot of brains out there like Tim Vetter. The deep team, the research team is fantastic. Going to be broadcasting these to wider audiences, trying to get these on big publications, put them on my own Substack, make sure that we get exposure. Main goal here is to help recruit new people to the fight. Leaders, you got 83 counties there. I'd be willing to bet that you've got large chunks of the state that are unattended. Of course, these are all important. We found voter issues. Look at Muskegon County, for instance. We got registration issues and corruption from one side of the state to the other. As for underserved voters, look, veterans are a massive stockpile of leaders waiting to be born, trying to put those leadership skills to use, trying to put those analytical skills to use, and also a very apolitical group. A lot of veterans don't vote. A lot of veterans have held themselves out of the political discourse for a variety of reasons, as well as just really not feeling like they've been communicated with, served. But that's a group that we like to expand into. I think that I've got good rapport with them. I've served on, I'm on the board of Veterans for America First. And I really care about engaging these veterans as opposed to 9/11 veteran myself. So looking to, over the next 3 months, establish deep ties with the Michigan veterans community through other organizations. And that is why primarily I'm here to help continue to drive forward your operations and everything you've been doing for the last 4.5 years.
Thank you so much, Seth. And on behalf of Patrice and the rest of the Pure Integrity Michigan team, welcome on board. We all look forward to working with you and to contributing to any projects that you are working on, and looking for your input to help us move ourselves up a step even further. Thanks so much, Seth.
Well, thank you, Dee, and thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm here from Scott County, Iowa, Lincoln Day. So life on the road is fun. So thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
A quick question.
Sure.
For Seth.
Seth,
thank you so much. I am very familiar with who you are and what you do. I subscribed to your Substack for a couple of years, and I used to forward your emails to Patrice and some of the leaders here. So super honored and humbled to have you on board. I wanted to ask you about our state representative in Washington, D.C., Tom Barrett, Congressman Tom Barrett. Tom is very focused on veterans, and I just wondered if you knew him and if you partner with him on some things for veterans.
So I do not know Mr. Barrett, but if you can make the connection, I would be more than happy to integrate with him. And no sense trying to remake the wheel. So my email address is skeshel, skeshel @protonmail.com.
Thank you.
So feel free to send me an email. Anybody on the call that needs to reach out to me, needs to collaborate on anything, same, skeshel @protonmail.com.
Seth, could I ask you to put that in the chat for the team?
Sure.
Thank you. And great point, Sheree. Great connections. We're all about connecting people within this organization as well. And that's a wonderful example. So our next
Representative Barrett is from my county. So I've known him for quite a few years before he was in Washington, when he was a state rep and so forth locally. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheree. Our next speaker, I think most of you already know Patrick Colbeck, but if you don't, he's a former senator who also vice chaired on the Committee for Election Integrity. He's a rocket scientist, literally a rocket scientist, and a dear friend of Michigan Fair Elections and Pure Integrity Michigan. Patrick, would you please give an update on your hearing this week at the House Election Integrity Committee?
Yeah, and I want to emphasize the importance of what Kristine talked about early on around how the media covers certain circumstances and certain events, because it was very interesting to hear what happened as a result of that meeting. So the meeting that I attended, it was an election integrity committee hearing chaired by Representative Rochelle Smith, and the topic was how to ensure how to regain confidence in the results of our elections. How do you actually believe the results that were being fed from entities such as the Michigan Secretary of State? And I walked through what the standard for that determination was as per the Michigan Constitution, which is in Article 2, Section 4, which says that we need to be assured of the accuracy and integrity of our elections. And I proceeded to provide evidence of inaccuracies in the and also examples of problems with the integrity of the conduct of our elections that I think merit some close attention. And at the end, I provided several recommendations, including legislation and subpoena actions taken by the House, which has the Michigan House Oversight Committee under Jay DeBoer has permanent subpoena authority, so they can ask for that. And then also I provided some recommended criminal investigations, which included Dominion CEO John Polis for his perjury before the Michigan Senate in the wake of the 2020 election, investigations of Dana Nessel for fraud and willful neglect of duty, investigations of Jocelyn Benson for pretty much everything except for the kitchen sink, and also investigation of Justice Bolden for her role in accepting what appears to be an $82,500 bribe to write the majority opinion in favor of Benson and O'Halloran v. Benson case. So there's a lot of stuff that was thrown across the bow. And when you look at what the media actually had to say about it, there's this one group or organization called Michigan Advance that was their progressive outlet. So I'm not expecting miracles coming out of them. But a good way of actually looking at the coverage is, do they start the story with a preamble that tries to discredit anything that's going to be represented later on before they actually get into reporting what actually happened? Or do they report what happened and then just provide color commentary throughout? And do you hear from both sides during the discussion? And I'll tell you, we had the Midwesterner out there covering it, and they did a good job, I think, covering it. But also we have a Lansing news source called Mears, and they're one of the best news sources up in Lansing. And I thought they did a very fair representation. And the good news about that is that that's the news source that almost all the legislators review on a daily basis. When I was in the Michigan Senate, I used to find out more about what was going on in my own caucus sometimes by reading what Mears had to say. So they're proud of all the news sources up in Lansing Beat. They're probably one of the better ones. Anyway, I don't know where you want to delve into. We covered a lot of ground during that testimony, but I appreciated all the support that was out there. And Sheree, thank you for being out there day in and day out and covering those. I'm often following up on your testimonies and based on the different committee hearings, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Patrick. We're going to show a short clip requested by Patrice. But before we do that, are there any questions from the group for Patrick? Okay, Isaac, if you would like to get the clip rolling. This is a clip taken of Rep's song during Patrick's presentation.
There are real threats to our democracy looking forward to 2026. And so I'm just wondering, why are we not discussing that? And why are we not preparing for future elections? Instead, why are you here today looking backwards and relitigating past elections? There are real threats to our democracy.
So Patrick, would you like to comment?
Well, I mean, my comment at the time was to say, fine, let's open them up. Let's go off and look at those elections and see how they were conducted. And what we're finding is a distinct lack of transparency, and in some cases, destruction of the records that would allow us to examine those elections. And that's what's happening under Benson. So that was my focus. But really, the answer I wish I would have said was the answer I wish I would have said was, does that mean that you're going to drop the charges against the 16 Michigan electors? Does that mean you're going to drop the charges against Adams Township Clerk Stephanie Scott? Because that's all stuff in the past. And so I was pretty, I kind of expected that from Representative Song. I think the key takeaway from that meeting and the questions that came out of it was the fact that the Representative Wooden, the vice chair, the minority vice chair, was silent. And if you've ever watched, I mean, sure, you've been at all these committee hearings, he's very rarely silent. And the fact that he wasn't willing to go off and ask any questions was kind of telling. And it said that I think what we did was present some pretty compelling information. By the way, if you want to see the slides that I presented at that meeting, just go to migrassrootsalliance.org. And then you can also see the recommended electronic voting system rules that I referenced when Rep. Alexander asked a question. So guys, you can get access to those slides. And I can tell you that even though I only went over 15 slides, I had about 150 as backup, just ready for anything that they wanted to go off and ask for. And I think that's why Rep. Wooden was silent. Just a little bit of inside baseball, though. One of the things that I found out coming out of that meeting from some of my kind of inside the Beltway contacts out in Lansing was that the testimony or the clip and the information that was shared during the hearing that was most effective and I think put a scare into some of the folks behind illicit election operations was when I showed the clip of Jocelyn Benson's own lawyer, Heather Meingast, testifying before the Michigan Court of Appeals that Jocelyn Benson only follows the laws that she agrees with. And if you don't like that, you can go ahead and sue her. And for those of you who've been following, paying attention, we know that 7 separate courts have determined that Benson has issued unlawful guidance to our election officials. So when you see our Michigan House issuing a subpoena for all of the training materials that have been issued to our election officials, you know why that's important. Because we have a Secretary of State who has a pattern of issuing unlawful directives to local clerks. And these clerks, they assume that everything that they get from the Michigan Secretary of State is lawful. And what we found is that not only are they not lawful, but she deliberately doesn't care if they're lawful or not. And she threatens us to sue her. Well, that's expensive, it's time consuming, and frankly, it's just not right. So that was one of the most compelling, I think, elements of the testimony. So a lot of people didn't know about that. And I think it's important for everybody on this call to make sure everybody understands we have documented evidence that Jocelyn Benson is not honoring her oath of office.
Thank you, Patrick. Would you please put in the chat the link address, the URL for those presentation slides? Because I know a lot of us would be very interested to have them. Janine, you have your hand up. Do you have a question for Patrick or a comment?
Yes, I have a question. I think it's great that we're having such powerful testimonies to the Election Integrity Committee, but what can we expect as a result of all these revelations? Like, can these legislators, what would be a good step for them so that we can email blast them and say, hey, you know, can you do thus and such as a result of these revelations? Like, what kind of follow-up? I mean, it's not, you know, we don't want to like to say it's, oh, this is all nice to know and oh, how shocking, but action is required, right? So what are your recommendations?
Well, first of all, recognize that we are in an information war. So getting out the information is a form of action. You need to shape the battlefield, and a lot of people have been denied access to this information through censorship operations such as the Election Integrity Partnership. For anybody who's been following what went on in the federal government, the Weaponization of Government Committee in Congress actually identified an organization that was deliberately censoring discussion of this information. So don't underestimate the impact of the information war. That's why Kristine is focused on getting the word out to media. That's why I was talking about the media early on. It's very important to get this information out. But having said that, there's other mechanisms that are available to our legislators, such as we got to split legislature right now. The Dems control the Senate, the Republicans control the House. That's ample ground for negotiations when it comes to appropriations. And so many of you know that we've met with the appropriations chair in the House, Representative Ann Boleyn, and we've provided provisions that can help us implement some of the recommendations that we talk about, not only in my hearing, but in previous hearings, and get them into the system, because, you know, they don't, Governor Whitmer doesn't have to sign a bill for a policy legislation, but we got to have a budget. And so there's a forced compromise that has to happen. So that is one mechanism. From a legal perspective, from a law enforcement perspective, let's face it, Michigan's a lost cause with Attorney General Nessel at the helm, and with the Michigan Supreme Court compromise through things like the apparent bribery with Jocelyn Benson and Justice Bolden. So very frustrating from a judicial process perspective here in the state. However, we do now have folks that are interested in the rule of law again up in DC. So I've been in personal contact with members of the Department of Justice. They finally have cleaned house to a large extent, to the point where they're comfortable now investigating topics like election fraud. And you've heard the president talk about some of the investigations that are going. He's even calling for a special prosecutor. I can tell you, I personally have filed 3 federal complaints already. I'm working on a 4th. So all this information that we're talking about in these hearings, all the information that can be gathered from these subpoenas that we're asking our Michigan House elected officials to issue, can then be entered in support of these investigations at the federal level. So there's a lot we can do right now. And I'll tell you, I've been at this for quite a few years, and I've never been more hopeful we're finally going to see some accountability for what I call the 2020 coup.
The way I see it, Patrick, is you can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Is it a little tiny speck, or is it a little bit bigger?
It's a lot bigger, and it's not a train.
Thank you. And then finally, Kristine asked a question in the chat. Are you going to run for SOS?
I appreciate the support on that front, folks. My focus is on making sure that other people have a fair shot at that. I'm not feeling called when I ran for governor, when I ran for the Senate, it was a very clear call of faith to go off and jump into that race. I'm not seeing the doors opening for that here. I'm seeing a lot of people asking me to do it, but I'm not. Just so you guys realize, it takes a lot of money to win a statewide election. I don't have any money. I liquidated all my retirement savings to run for the Senate. Whatever else we had left, put into the governor's race. And even when you're running for office, you still have to keep the lights on at home. So guys, that's just not a position, not something I can put my family through at this time. So appreciate the thought, though.
And besides that, we like you just where you are, pushing the buttons and pushing some hot buttons in DC. So thank you for all you do, Patrick.
All right, thanks, Dee.
And Patrick, stand and stay standing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's what we're working on. There's a lot of good people. I call them all meddling kids. We're all meddling kids on this call and this meeting as well. And it's literally everybody's got a different role to play, many parts, one body. And I feel like God's calling me to be kind of the systems integrator and try to show why all this information from folks like Tim and Fonnie and MFE are all important and how they all fit together. And so we'll continue to do that and try to do my best to help folks out there.
Great. Moving on, it's my pleasure now to introduce our All-Star Award of the Week. MFE's nominee this week is, drum roll please, Bonnie Kellogg. Bonnie has been involved with MFEI practically from the beginning. She's been helping out in many, many ways, but her reporting on the GBI strategies investigation really has stuck out, because that's not only helped Michigan, but other states in uncovering NGO voter registration scams. Bonnie, would you like to unmute yourself and say a few words? I see Bonnie is probably trying to unmute. At the bottom of the screen, there should be a mute, unmute button.
Here we go.
There we go.
I'm totally surprised and shocked, and I just want to thank you for that. And we'll just keep working on it and working with you. I love to be here, and I love to be with you guys. It's been a few years now, and I think we've all seen a lot of progress, and I appreciate it.
Check out the comments in the chat, Bonnie. There's lots of yays and congratulations, and we all so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Your All-Star Medal and certificate will be in the mail. And again, thank you for your service to MFEI, Michigan, and America.
Okay, thanks, Dee.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have Rosemary Tanner and Sheree Ritchie. They are working on a new project. So Sheree, Rosemary, I don't know who's going to lead the discussion, but if you would like, okay, Sheree, go for it.
Thank you, Dee. My name is Sheree Ritchie. If any of you don't know me or we haven't met yet, I've been involved with the organization for 3.5 years now, but we are resurrecting a project that was implemented back in 2021 and 22 called the Contract with Michigan. And what that project was to approach candidates and I believe elected officials at the time as well, to have them read and consider signing a pledge, so to speak, to always defend election integrity in their elected office position. And we're resurrecting this and refreshing it based on input from what EIN has done, Election Integrity Network. They have kind of taken it a step further, and they call theirs now the U.S. Citizens Elections Bill of Rights, which is really cool. So we have we're putting together some documents based on the EIN program, and we're going to launch it here in Michigan in the next couple of weeks. Rosemary Tanner and I are working on combining the document language and so forth into what we had before and updating it to current verbiage and so forth. And the goal is to ensure that election integrity is top of mind for any and all candidates running for office. So there will be a step-by-step, easy-to-follow process for both our volunteers and even our alliance partners, for example, Americans for Prosperity, and anyone can undertake this effort. So it's all coming together. Stay tuned for more updates as Rosemary and I proceed with refining the documents so they're all up to date, current, and easy to use for everyone. And it's going to be an exciting program. I will just give you a little teaser that once this is all ready to relaunch or launch, whichever way you want to look at it, the first candidate I'm going to approach is Senator Eric Nesbitt, who has announced his candidacy for governor. So stay tuned for that. And we'll have all the materials streamlined so anyone and everyone can do this. And we'll let you know how you can let us know when you have a candidate that you would like to work with and have them sign this important commitment to our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheree. Sheree and Rosemary, they've been doing so much in the background with both Michigan Fair Elections and Pure Integrity Michigan. Two of the unsung heroes behind the scenes. So thank you so much to you both for everything that you've done. Next on our agenda, I'm pleased to introduce Paul Jacob. Paul Jacob is from Americans for Citizens Voting. And Paul, if you would like to prepare to unmute yourself, we would love to hear your update because you are leading the campaign in Michigan now for Only Citizens Vote petition drive. I know in the past you've worked with 14 other states, and in those 14 other states was successful in getting the petition initiatives on ballots. So we're wanting to hear from you. Give us the update. We're all excited and we're all ready to go. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Dee. I'm very excited too. We've been working for many months to get to a point where we could launch this initiative. As many of you are probably aware, last Thursday, without any explanation, we were left off the agenda in June, even though we had correspondence with them saying we would be on the agenda. For whatever reason, I won't even spend any mental time thinking about what the reason is, but they pushed us to July. We do have 2 petitions now that have been approved because they delayed the approval on the other one as well. The last one that we introduced is the one we're going to go with. The difference between that one is for some legal reasons and just some practicality and not having to change everything about voter registration. We require the Secretary of State to check the entire database of the voter, qualified voter file and determine whether people are citizens or not. If she cannot or he cannot determine, then they contact them. There's a process. They have 45 days to show, basic documentation. The law has very clear guidelines for if someone loses their documentation, there's a process for the Secretary of State to look at that. The goal here, even though I know the left will run around with their hair on fire that, oh my goodness, no women will be able to vote, nobody of color will be able to vote. The reality is this is a very straightforward, clear process. And, in the past, Jocelyn Benson had said that they couldn't somehow check. There was no way to check. And then when she was embarrassed with the Chinese student voting in the last election, she did check and came up with another 15 non-citizens who were voting. I don't think her checks have been very exhaustive, but we're putting the onus on the Secretary of State. And of course, at the end of the day, people will have to prove their citizenship if the Secretary of State can't determine it. But it just makes it easier from both a logistical standpoint and a legal standpoint. And now there are 3 approved petitions. I have been talking this week, last week, the week before with the Brian Posthumus's effort, and that didn't go forward. They had some funding that didn't pan out, but we are all getting together, looking for roles for who will do what. But I think we're going to have a very unified effort. I think one of the advantages in this measure that we're going with, in addition to putting a lot of pressure on the Secretary of State to do the job that the Secretary of State should do, one of the advantages of that is that Benson has already, who's running for governor, as everyone knows, has already doubled down that this is a terrible thing. She's going to have to defend her record, which is awful. And the fact that we're putting the onus on the Secretary of State, I think, just allows her no wiggle room. Now, the other thing that we do in this measure, I noticed in the chat, I think it was Allison who had asked about, what sort of enforcement? How do we enforce these things? One of the differences between this petition and the earlier one is that we have enforcement in there, and we also don't leave the first measure left a lot for the legislature to pass things, to write the rules and so on. And sometimes that's easier in a political way because you can avoid some tough decisions. But I think you guys know better than I and better than anybody that we just can't leave the rules to be written later. We've got to have them in the actual measure. So there's no way to circumvent what we're trying to do. And so we are now, I talked to someone today and gave the word, let's print petitions. We're printing 150,000 petitions. We are set up to do a kickoff with Vance Patrick in Oakland County on the 31st. And we will have Ruth Johnson, former Secretary of State, state senator, who I'm sure you all know, who I met a couple of weeks ago, about the most charming, interesting politician I had ever talked to in my life. I think largely because she's not a politician, but anyway, she's ready to lead the charge. There are others there. We're hopeful to have Brian Posthumus and others engaged, and so we're excited. We're putting together the last of the money because we'll need a paid petition drive too. And we have vendors in place. It's coming together. There's a lot of moving parts. Every day there's some disaster and then some miracle and then some disaster and then some miracle. But as I think some of you may have noticed, I talked a week or so ago, I was involved in the 22 Secure My Vote effort, and it was a debacle in all kinds of ways. But the one silver lining was I was just blown away by the amount of engagement and work and signatures that rolled in from volunteers. And it just impressed me that there is a heck of a network of election integrity activists in Michigan. And I'm excited that I don't like to lose. And I didn't like that didn't pan out. And I'm thrilled that I've been able to get some of the donors who donated then to say, no, we have some unfinished business. And so we will have petitions. It'll take probably a week or so for them to print and so on. But even before the 31st, we'll be getting petitions out to people. I would urge you to go to onlycitizens.vote/Michigan, and you can sign up there to get material. Obviously, we're going to be getting stuff to Patrice and all kinds of other folks. So it may be an easier way for you to get petitions, but this is coming. And it's funny because we've been working awfully hard to get to a point where we're going to have a tremendous amount of work to do, but that's what life's all about. And I'm thrilled. And I think that this is critical because of what the left has done to election integrity in Michigan. I don't know if anywhere in the country that would be worse. And I see a little note, onlycitizens.vote/MI. No, I screwed it up. You have to print out the whole Michigan, I believe. And you may go someplace with MI, but does it work there too? Oh, apparently that works too. So, but anyway, if you don't see a sign up on that page, go to the /Michigan. But anyway, I think we've got a heck of a way to get Michigan elections to be back to some sort of sensible level of control and transparency and integrity. The other thing is, I think this is a critical issue in bringing out voters. I saw a thing on, and this is the last thing I'll mention and I'll shut up, but I saw something yesterday and I saw another story today about it, some of the polling. And of course, support for Democrats is in the, it is, well, you know where it is. And support for Republicans is much higher. But the enthusiasm to vote in the midterm was down to 50% among Republicans. It was like 72% among Democrats. And that is a flip from last fall. And we need issues that will drive voters out to the polls, because if they come out to the polls, they'll help you guys get a better Secretary of State and a better AG, because it's tough, no matter how we write the rules, to have sensible, good government if we've got rotten, lousy folks running it. So anyway, I think from both a policy standpoint and just a flat out political standpoint, this is the most important effort going anywhere in the country, because Michigan has so much at stake in the 26th election. And of course, what happens in 26 is going to have an impact on 28. And I don't know that Republicans are going to elect a president if they don't win Michigan.
Paul, thank you so much. We've got a couple of hands up. So Kristine Christlieb, would you like to state your question or comment, please?
Yes, I was wondering, are you planning to have an official announcement when you get all these proposals reconciled and you're ready to go? Maybe you said that and I missed it. Are you going to have like a press conference or something?
We will use this event in Oakland County with Vance Patrick as our first kickoff press conference. We'll also do a release statewide and make that clear. We will be withdrawing our first petition because we're going with the second one. And I met yesterday in DC with Charlie Spees, who's the attorney who worked on Brian's measure, and they'll no doubt withdraw that one. So it'll be clear to media, public, that this is the one we're going with. But yes, we'll have a press release sent far and wide in addition to the July 31st event in Oakland County.
Thank you.
Paul, I have a couple of questions, and it centers around messaging and training of our volunteers. Now, I'm aware of a couple of polls that there's many polls out there, but the one that I usually refer to is that 83% of people in the States want proof of citizenship. And then the second is 84 want people to show their ID when they go to vote. Do you concur with those, or will you be having key talking points that our petition gatherers can use to quickly get to the heart of why this is so important and how favorably it is viewed by citizens all over?
Boy, good question. And I think that's our poll, because those were the numbers. We polled only citizens voting, we polled requiring proof of citizenship, and then we polled voter ID, and then we told poll respondents that there's a ballot measure that would combine all three. The support for citizen-only voting, I think, was 87, and I think you're right that it was 84 or 85 on the others. And then all combined, it was 82%, with 66% strongly. I've done initiatives for a long time, and what I'm always looking for is that strongly, both on the yes and the no. Because if the no, the strongly is too high, that can be a problem. With the yes, anything approaching 50% strongly, you feel good. 66%, it's rare you see that sort of strong. So I think we're in very good shape and very little strong opposition. So I think that's true. We will have talking points, and we will be, because we'll be mailing out petitions as well. That'll take a few more weeks, but we'll have that out. We will also have an instruction sheet that will get around to everybody, so everything's clear as to how you do it, and how things should be filled out and so on. And we'll be having some trainings. I think we will probably do what they call onboarding, which is we will want, as people are collecting signatures, for them to sign up and give us their information and so on. And we will want that because we're going to be looking at every signature, but we're also going to be looking at every circulator, even volunteers. And volunteers, usually the percentage of signatures that are good are in the high 80s, low 90s, which is really, really good. With paid people, it's much less. So volunteers, you usually don't worry as much about, but we want to worry about it all, because we know the other side is going to look at this and say, if they get on the ballot, they're in trouble. We're in good shape. So they're going to do everything they can to stop us from getting on the ballot.
Sheree, you had your hand up? Nope. Okay. Must have been a residual. Thank you so much. Paul, this has been really encouraging news. We're all kind of biting at the bit. So this is really encouraging. And we saw a light at the end of the tunnel at the beginning of our speakers today. And this is another light at the end of the tunnel. And as Patrick said, and it's not a train. Thank you so much, Paul.
Right. And hey, I just wanted to say one more thing, and that is that I've had a friend sending me articles from MFEI, and it is so critical that we have the information and that we have it in a way that we can send it to our friend. And because the media does such a rotten job, it is absolutely critical. So salute you for doing that, and keep doing it. That's just tremendous.
We're all in this together. Thanks so much, Paul. Our next
You bet.
speaker is Mark Smith. He's our amazing chapter leader in Benzie. Would you like to take the stage, Mark, and give us a word and update from what's happening with our chapters?
Oh, I'd love to. Yes, I'm amazed you got this far this fast. When I saw the agenda, I thought, well, I'm safe. I don't have to talk today. But no, in all serious, and we've talked about this in the past. What you people are doing is incredibly important, but it empowers us right here at the roots level to take that thing into real action. And I just scrolled through the attendees. I think we have 3 of our Benzie team actually on the call with us today, which is outstanding. And I see one good friend from Midland is also on the call. So in Benzie County, we only have maybe 16,000 voters, depending on what the QVF says compared to the census, but that's another issue. But I can see Jennifer Brogley, Michelle Stabnow, and Vicki Schwartz are on the call. They've done incredible work in our 13 districts, precincts with the voters we have. So we continue to clean our voting rolls. What we're working on right now is the ranked choice voting. We did a 10-1 public presentation where we outnumbered the people presenting it probably by 30%, but we did get our palm cards printed. We'll be distributing those. And we also are fortunate to have at least one member of our RCV team. He's actually the township supervisor in Joyfield. So Jimmy will be passing the resolution banning RCV in Joyfield Township. Our team's been invited to talk to Gilmore Township here, August. I forgot the exact date, but all the work that you do is not theoretical, and we are blessed to be able to make it real out here in Benzie County, and we're having a pretty good time doing it. So we continue to talk to the other counties. So we've reached out to Leelanau, Grand Traverse, and Manistee in our backyard. And they are very interested in the ranked choice voting. And I know Jennifer's on the call, and she has worked with those people quite closely, especially in Grand Traverse, where they're listening to help clean up their qualified voter rolls. So what you're doing is working. We can take it all the way down to the street level. So we're just happy that we can help in any little way we can. But we're where the rubber meets the road. I think Mr. Keshel said it right. Michigan's important. And the ability to take that, your work all the way down to the qualified voters in Benzie County, to me represents the completion of the loop. And as Patrick said, and Patrick, hi, we know you've been up in Frankfurt with us in the past on Main Street. So the work that you people do is real. It is valuable, and we are able to apply that on a real basis. So we're more than happy to work with anybody in the area, or if any of the counties have issues, give me a call. I know my contact information has been shared in the past. More than happy to do it. What we know up here is that Benzie County is small, so we are able to work in bite-sized pieces. And what we'd love to do is encourage people to not look at your entire million voters, but find your voting precinct and start small and get some success, and you can build from there. But yeah, that's the latest from the street level.
Thank you, Mark. And that's great advice
sure.
about starting locally, because all government is local, and getting to know our neighbors and engaging them at that local level is so critical for us moving forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Darling,
We know all of our clerks, great relationships with them. I'll share one more thing. Our county clerk will be talking to us after her next meeting with the state regarding the appears the aging out of the machines in our precincts, which is a phenomenally high cost. So it's ample. It's great room for us to talk about paper ballots and getting back to a better voting system. Stay tuned. We'll keep chasing that one.
Great, Mark. Darlene, I saw your hand up, but it's lowered. Did you have a comment or a question?
I just wanted to update some couple of things regarding ranked choice voting.
Oh, please do.
Okay. All right. So our new website, which I'm putting in, is now rcvwarning.org. There was some changes to the board of PIME. So we have the change of the old website, which was rejectrcv.org, will automatically get you there. We have new palm cards that are they're already done, redesigned, just waiting to talk with Jackie for approval. And we had a meeting yesterday. Jackie was unable to attend, but Patrice was there, and we went over the information that was wanted to change. So the information will be coming out as soon as after I talk with Jackie and she reviews it. And then we will send out all the new information and all the new design for the palm cards.
Great, Darlene. Thank you for that update.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Only Citizens Vote, ranked choice voting, those are the two key initiatives that we are looking for volunteers. Jeff, would you like to say a few words about how to become a volunteer, and also how, if people can't volunteer, how they can support us financially? Thank you, Jeff.
I'm not prepared, really. I mean, I guess
So
I'm gonna have to pass. I have to pass.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. So that I know I caught you off guard, and I apologize for that. But if you go to the Michigan Fair Elections website, there is a menu item for volunteering. There are many positions that we're looking for volunteers, working with our communications team, working with our legislative team, multiple positions. Some of them require only a few hours a week. Others are more involved. Volunteer the time that you can. And if you want to support Michigan Fair Elections and Pure Integrity Michigan, there's also the opportunity to donate to our organization so that we can work on expanding the infrastructure and covering the hard costs of everything that we do. So with that, unless there are any other questions, I don't see any further. Oh, Sheree, you've got your hand up. You're on mute. No, you're okay. So your hand's disappeared. That's fine. So with that, I'm going to close the meeting 4 minutes early and give everyone 4 minutes back of their time. Thank you all for your participation and joining News at Noon. And we will see you again, same time, same place next week. Bye,
I just wanted to say, people are asking, you don't have to change them. You can use up what you have. The website will automatically go to RCV warning, but I know people have spent a lot of money in that. And so use that up, but I will, and Jackie will be talking, and we will be sending out the new information. Don't want to have you waste that money, because I know that was expensive. So I understand. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Bye, all.